Rabbi Sai, we are on DAF Chaf Zayin Amud Aleph at the Mishnah at the very top of the Amud. There's some fuzzy logic here today. I'll try my best to explain it, even though I'm not sure I completely grasp it. Nishba levatel es ha-mitzvah velo bitel pater. Lekayim velo kiyem pater. In the following two cases, if a person takes a shavua and he violates the shavua, he's pater from a korban. The first one is if he swears not to do a mitzvah. Like he says, I swear I'm not going to eat matzah on Pesach. And if he ends up eating matzah, so he violated his shvuah, he's pater. Lekayim velo kiyem, pater. Or if he swore that he is going to eat matzah on Pesach, and he ended up not eating matzah, even though he violated the obligation to eat matzah, but he didn't violate the shvuah, because there's no shvuah vis-a-vis the performance of mitzvahs. The laws of shvuahs don't apply. So, shahaya bedin, sheyehi chayiv kediva Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Because the truth is that I could have argued that in such a situation where a person swears to do a mitzvah and he violates that shvuah, he should be liable for the violation. Because of Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. What did he say? Amar Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, ma'im harishus she'eno mushbalav mehar Sinai, harehu chayev alav. Mitzvah shuhu mushbaleh mehar Sinai eno din sheyehi chayev aleha. He wants to make a kal v'chomer, which is as follows. He says, listen, if I can violate my commitment, even when my commitment had nothing to do with the previous obligation that I had forsworn upon me at Har Sinai, and I can be liable for bringing a korban for that, then surely I should be liable when I commit myself to do something that I'm already obligated to do. How much more so have I violated my obligation, and therefore I should be chayiv even more. That was Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira's logical argument. So Amr lo, im amarta b'shvuas harishus shekein asa b'olav kehein, tomar b'shvuas mitzvah shelo asa b'olav kehein, shem nishba levata v'lo bitel pater. And the Chachamim's response to Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira is as follows. Every shvuah has to be reversible, because the Torah says lahara o lehetiv. You have to be able to do X and the opposite of X in order for a shvuah to be in effect. So, for example, a person can swear that I'm going to eat. A person can swear that I'm not going to eat. So therefore, either shvuah is legal. However, a person can swear that he's going to do a mitzvah, but he cannot swear that he's not going to do a mitzvah because he's masnal mashakasa b'Torah, because he's contravening what the Torah says. And therefore, since you can't do the opposite, you can't swear that you're not going to do a mitzvah, you also can't swear that you are going to do a mitzvah. And that's the rationale. Tana Rabbana. Yochol nishba levatel es ha-mitzvah v'lo bitel yehi chayev, Tamuloi mar lahara ulahitiv. Mahatova rishus afhara rishus. Otzi nishba levatel es ha-mitzvah v'lo bitel shuhu pater. You might think that if a person swears that he's not going to do a mitzvah, and then he ended up not fulfilling that shvuah because he did the mitzvah in the end, you might think that he should be chayav a korban. So therefore the Torah says lahara ulahitiv. The words lahara ulahitiv by definition imply that we're dealing with something that's a non-mitzvah. You're swearing that the subject of the shvuah is a non-mitzvah, because just like doing a good thing is a non-mitzvah, so too swearing to do a bad thing or to not do a good thing is also referring to a non-mitzvah. Now, the Bryce is going to have to explain this, because we don't see inherently where the words lahara or lehitiv are referring to non-mitzvahs, but the Bryce is telling us that it is. Yachol nishba lekayim es ha-mitzvah v'lo kiyem sheyehi chayev, tamulomar lahara o lehitiv, mahara rishus afatova rishus, otzi nishba lekayim es mitzvah v'lo kiyem shuhu pater. Second part is, you might think that if a person swears to do a mitzvah, like I swear I'm going to eat matzah the night of the Seder, and then he ends up not eating matzah, you might think that he's in violation of his shvuah. Again, the same words, lahara o lehitiv, teach me that just like when you swear not to do something, it's referring to an optional action, a non-mitzvah action, so too when you swear to do something, it must be referring to an optional action, not a mitzvah action. Yachol nishba lahara la'atzma v'lohera yachol yehi pater tamalomer lahara ulehitiv. Mahatava rishus afara ashus avi nishba lahara la'atzma v'lohera shaharishus biyado. Next part of the brisa is, you might think that if a person swears that he's going to harm himself in some way, and he ends up not harming himself, you might think that he's pater. So therefore the Torah says no, lehara ulehitiv. What does the word lehara imply? That you have the option of hurting yourself or harming yourself, and therefore included in the parsha of Shavua is when a person swears to harm himself. If, let's say, I swear I'm going to slap myself across the face, or I swear that I'm going to fast today, that's a form of self-affliction. So the halacha is that if you don't afflict yourself the way that you swore, you're going to be liable. But the contrast is, Yachol nishba lahara la'acherim v'lohera sheyehi chayiv tamulomer lahara ulehitiv. Mahatava rishus afara rishus otzi nishba lahara la'acherim v'lohera sheina rishus biyado. But let's say I swore that I'm going to harm others. I'm going to harm another person. So you might think that if I don't end up harming them, then I'm going to be liable for violating my shvuah. So therefore the Torah says, lahara ulehitiv. That just like doing good for someone is within my purview, so too harming someone has to be within my purview. But if it's not within my purview, I don't have the option of hurting someone else. Now we'll see why in just a minute. We'll see, we have to explain this brisa, because of course you could think, of course I could harm someone else. You know what I could do? If that person needs a ride and I don't give them a ride, so that's harming them in a sense. So the brisa needs to be clarified. So the Gemara will clarify the brisa shortly. But simply put, that since I don't have the ability at my own discretion to harm another person, therefore he's not included in the parsha of Shavua. Minayin larabos hatavas acherim tamulomar o lehetiv. But how do I know that even though I don't always have the option of benefiting others, but if I swear that I'm going to benefit someone else, that I'm obligated to fulfill my shvuah, that's included in the parsha of Shavua. The extra word "o" teaches me that even though I'm not in violation if I swear to harm someone, but I am in violation if I swear to benefit someone and I don't end up doing it. So then the brisa finishes off by saying, "Ve'ezo hi haro'as acherim ake es ploni ve'efza es mocha." And this is the conclusion of the brisa. What's an example of where you're not in violation if you swear to harm someone? Where it has to be a proactive harm, where you say, I swear I'm going to zet someone, I'm going to strike someone, or I'm going to break open his skull and spill out his brains on the street. In other words, the point is that since you're swearing that you're going to do something proactive against someone else, it's not within your purview to do it. He could always stop you. He could always prevent you from doing it. And therefore, since it's not within your purview to fulfill it, and you don't have the rights to do it, therefore, if you violate your shvuah and you don't end up harming him, you're not in violation. The implication of the brisa is that if you swear to passively harm someone by not giving them something that you know they need, then that shvuah would be binding. Now, let's analyze this. Umimai dekroy bedover harishus ksivi dilma bedover mitzvah ksivi. Simple question. You've assumed throughout this brisa that the words lehara o lehitiv mean a non-mitzvah action. Where do you see that? Where is that inherent in the words? Lo sal kadaitich deboinan hatava dumya dahara v'hara dumya dahatava da'akish hara lahatava. So the Gemara says it's by virtue of the fact that the words lahara o lehitiv are scripturally connected to each other, which means that the definition of lahara must spill over to the definition of lehitiv, and vice versa. Now, ma hatava ena bebitul mitzvah, af hara'a ena bebitul mitzvah, because hara'a gufa hatavahi. So, hatava, doing good, cannot possibly be referring to not or failing to perform a mitzvah. When a person says, I'm going to take an oath. He says, I'm going to take an oath that I'm going to do something that's a bittul mitzvah. Now you might think, let's say he takes an oath that he's going to eat chametz on Pesach. So you might think, well, I'm benefiting myself. That's lehitiv. Impossible. Because by definition, anytime you benefit yourself physically by performing an aveira, that's not a hatava, because you're harming your soul. So therefore, ma hatava eina bebittul mitzvah. So hatava can't be referring to not doing a mitzvah. So therefore, hara'ah by definition also can't be swearing to not do something that through that not doing something, you're going to be performing an aveira. So for example, hara'ah can't be defined as, I swear that I'm not going to eat chametz. Or I'm sorry, I swear that I'm not going to eat matzah. In other words, just like hatava can't be referring to doing an aveira, so too hara'ah can't be referring to doing an aveira. And if hara'ah is not referring to doing an aveira, so hara'ah gufa hatavahi, then it must be that what are you swearing not to do? You can't be swearing not to eat matzah, because that's an aveira if you were to swear not to eat matzah. And since hatava has to be not an aveira, hara'ah also has to be not an aveira. And if hara'ah is not an aveira, the only thing you're swearing not to do is not to eat chametz on Pesach, not to eat matzah on Pesach. And if that's the case, then why call it a hara'ah? Swearing not to eat chametz on Pesach is not a bad thing, it's a good thing. So therefore, it doesn't make any sense that the pasuk could be talking about doing a mitzvah. Va'akish hatava lahara, and conversely, hatava is connected to hara. Ma hara ina b'kiyum mitzvah, af hatava ina b'kiyum mitzvah, hatava gufa harahi. You can say the opposite as well. Hara, by definition, must be doing something that is inherently bad, because that's what the word hara means. So if it means inherently doing something bad, then hatava also must be inherently doing something bad, which means swearing to do something which will be a violation of a mitzvah. And if that's the case, then hatava is not hatava, then it's hara. So mimon afshach, hatava and hara cannot be referring to decisions which violate the Torah or fulfill the Torah. Because either way, since hatava and hara are connected, they cancel each other out. That's the fuzzy logic that the Gemara is offering. That the words lahara or lehitiv cannot possibly referring to mitzvah performance. But the Gemara says, ihachi b'devar harishus nami lo mishkachas la. But the Gemara's question is, well, by that argument, then you can say the same thing by a davar rishus. Maybe lahara or lehitiv is not referring to optional actions either. Because no matter how you cut it, if doing good and doing bad are connected to each other, then whatever doing good means, it will be connected to doing bad. And like Rashi says, V'hachi perusha, ihachi b'dvar rishus nami ikalakshu iki hagavna, akish hara l'hatava, ma hatava do'oichal she'ena b'dovar ala gufa. In other words, if hatava means I'm going to do something that's healthy for myself, even though it's not related to a mitzvah, so you want to say that it's referring to a davar rishus, an optional thing. So for example, I'm going to eat something, by definition, what does hatava mean? It means doing something that's good for me. So I swear that I'm going to eat something healthy. If that's the case, hara must also refer to, since they're connected, since it's connected to hatava, it must also refer to doing something healthy by desisting. So what does it mean? I swear that I'm going to desist from eating unhealthy food, junk food, right? Well, if that's the case, then that's not hara anymore, that's hatava. And conversely, if hara, by definition, means doing something that's optional, that is bad for me, for example, swearing to not eat healthy food, so then hatava, which is connected to that, must also mean doing something which is unhealthy, such as eating junk food. And that's not hatava anymore, that's hara. So in other words, your logic is illogical, because ultimately, the words lahara lehitiv cancel each other out, whether the definition is mitzvah performance or whether it's simply optional performance of something that's a non-mitzvah. Ella, so here's the real answer. Mid'itzterich o l'rabos hatavas acherim shma mina b'dvar rishus ksivi. De'isal kedaitech b'dvar mitzvah ksivi, hashta haras acherim israbi, hatavas acherim mibaya? Question mark. The answer is like this. Go back to the Brisa. One of the lines of the Brisa said that I need the word o in the phrase lahara o lehetiv to teach me that even though doing bad to others, if I take a shvuah, it's non-binding because I don't have a right to strike someone. But lehetiv, now even though doing bad to others is a non-binding shvuah, but if I swear to do good to others, that is binding. And I know that from the word o. Now if this pasuk was talking about mitzvah performance, that I swear that I'm not going to give tzedakah, for example, to Ploni, who's an ani, and there's a mitzvah to give him tzedakah, and I swear that I'm not going to give him a mitzvah. I'm not going to give him tzedakah. Now that is legally binding. So therefore, why would you need O to tell me that I swear to do good for another person is legally binding? If I already know that swearing that I'm not going to do a mitzvah of tzedakah to Ploni is legally binding, because there it would be legally binding. To swear that I'm not going to give him tzedakah, if we're talking about mitzvahs, then it is legally binding. So then I wouldn't need the word O. The fact that I need the word O proves to me that we're talking about a dvar rishus, not a dvar mitzvah. That's the final answer of the Gemara. V'hai omi boile l'chalik. But wait a minute. Let's just go ask a more basic question. How do you, Brisa, tell me that the word O is being used to tell me that even though my shvuah is not binding on doing something bad to someone, it is binding when I swear to do something good to someone? I need the word O intrinsically to tell me, because if I didn't have the word O, and the Torah says lahara ulahetiv without the word O, I would have thought that I'm only in violation of a shvuah when I swear both to do bad and to do good to someone, or to myself. How do I know that if it's either or, that either if I swear to do bad or to do good, you need the word O legufe for that purpose? So how can you use it for another drasha? So the Gemara says, Lo tzarich kra. No, the answer is you don't need a pasuk for that, because implicit, anytime the Torah says X and Y, implicitly it means X or Y as well. So the Gemara says, Hanichla Rabbi Yonasan, Rabbi Yosham Haichla Meimer, but that in itself is a machlokus between these two Tanoim. What's the machlokus? The Tanya, Ish asher yikalel es aviv ve'es imo, Ainli ela aviv v'imo, aviv v'lo imo, imo v'lo aviv, minayin tamulomar aviv v'imo kilel, aviv kilel, imo kilel, diver Rabbi Yoshia. Rabbi Yoshia looks at the pasuk that says that if a person curses his mother and his father, he's liable for the death penalty. And he says, looking just at those words, it sounds like you're only liable for the death penalty if you curse both your father and your mother. How do you know that if you curse only your father or only your mother, you're also liable? So you need extra verbiage at the end of the pasuk, aviv v'imo kilel, to teach me that. So according to Rabbi Yoshia, you're going to have a problem because the word O is necessary. It's only according to Rabbi Yonasan that you don't need the word O, because Rabbi Yonasan Omer, mashma shneim ke'echad u'mashma echad b'fnei atzmo, ad she'yifar locha kosov yachtov. Rabbi Yonasan says no. When the Torah says X and Y, it implicitly means X or Y, unless the Torah says X and Y together. So for example, the Torah says, do not plow with an ox and a donkey together. So the word together means that there's no prohibition of plowing only with an ox or only with a donkey. It's only when they're together. But if the Torah just says X, do not do X and Y, it means do not do either X or Y. And so therefore, according to Rabbi Yonasan, the word O is superfluous, and therefore I can use it for a drasha. But what are you going to say for Rabbi Yoshia? So the Gemara's answer is, Afilu tema Rabbi Yoshia, v'savar la Rabbi Akiva, the darish ribuye umiute. Iomart bishlamad b'davar harishus ksiv mimai dvar mitzvah. Ela iomart b'dvar mitzvah ksiv mimai komimait. And it's a very simple answer. If you recall yesterday's daf, we saw a machlokus between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yishmael as to how we we use, what methodology or what system of hermeneutics we apply to the pasuk which talks about swearing. And it says the general rule, and then the specific, and then the general. So Rabbi Akiva called that riboy, miut, and riboy, and you include all types of shvuas, but you only exclude one thing from the rule. And what was that one thing that Rabbi Akiva excluded? Dvar mitzvah. That if a person swears to violate a mitzvah, that shvua is not legally binding. Now, if the whole parsha is talking about mitzvah performance, how could you say that we're excluding mitzvah performance? That doesn't make any sense. It's only if the pasuk is talking about non-mitzvah performance could the riboy, miut, v'riboy system be excluding a mitzvah. And that's what Rabbi Yoshia subscribes to. Rabbi Yoshia says, implicit in the riboy, miut, v'riboy process, you see that the pasuk must be talking about non-mitzvah performance. Weiter. Amar Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, ma'im harishus v'chulei. So Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira made a kal v'chomer, and he said, listen, if a person can swear to do something that's not a mitzvah and be obligated by it, then surely if he's already obligated by the Torah, his vow should be even more binding, and if he violates it, he should have to bring a korban. And the Chachamim said back to him, no, it's not reversible. If it's not reversible, if you can't say, I'm going to do a mitzvah, or I swear I'm not going to do a mitzvah, since you can't say, I swear I'm not going to do a mitzvah, also an oath that I'm going to do a mitzvah is not legally binding. So, V'Rabbanan Shapir Ka'amri Le Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Isn't that a good taina that they have to respond to him? So what is he going to say? V'Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Amr Lach Atu Hatavas Acherim Lav Afal Gavdelesa Bichlal Haras Acherim. Rabbi Rachmana, Hachanami B'Kiyum Mitzvah, Afal Gavdelesa B'Bittul Mitzvah, Rabbi Rachmana. So Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira will tell you as follows. My argument is, not all the time does a shvuah have to be reversible. And what's my proof? Because the Brisa itself said that when I swear to harm someone else, that's not legally binding. But when I swear to benefit someone else, that is legally binding. So you see, even though one is the opposite of the other, sometimes when, if the Torah says it explicitly from the word "o," you see that even though it's not reversible, the shvuah can be legally binding. So too, since I have a kal v'chomer, that when I swear to do a mitzvah, it's legally binding. It's legally binding. So v'Rabbanan hasam isei below eitiv, hacham isei below akayim. And the Chachamim's response to that is no. You're right that harming and benefiting others is not completely reversible, but it's partially reversible. Why? Because I swear to benefit Ploni, right? And let's say it's a non-mitzvah. For example, I swear to benefit this wealthy person, I'm going to give him a gift. But I could also swear, not that I'm going to hit him, but I could also swear that I'm not going to give him any benefit. That is a legally binding shvuah. The only non-binding shvuah is if I swear to proactively harm him, right? So there, it is somewhat reversible, and that's the reason why it works. But when it comes to mitzvah performance, I can't swear that I'm not going to do a mitzvah even passively. I can't make that oath, because I can't be masnal mashakasa b'Torah. If the Torah says, bring a korban Pesach on Pesach, I can't swear that I'm not going to bring a korban Pesach, and just because it's passive, the shvuah is chal. I can't even take a passive shavua to violate a mitzvah, and therefore it's not reversible at all, and that's why the Chachamim argue with Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Next Mishnah. Shavua shelo, the next part is a little bit easier. Shavua shelo ochal kikar zu, shavua shelo ochlena ve'achla, ein ochaya ve'ela echas. So the Mishnah first says that if a person swore as follows, I swear I'm not going to eat this loaf of bread. I swear, then he says, I swear I will not eat it. And then a third time he says, I swear I will not eat it. Since he's compounding the same shvuah again and again, only the first shvuah is chal, the other two are not chal, and therefore if he eats the loaf, he's only in violation one time. Now, zui shvuas bitui shechayaven al zdona makos val shigagosim carbon olav. And this is a classic example of a shvuas bitui, where a person swears to do something or not to do something, violates it. If he does it intentionally, he gets malchus. If he does it unintentionally, he brings a carbon olav, a fluctuating value. Shvuas shav chayaven al zdona makos val shigagasa pater. But a null shvua, which the Gemara will have to define later on, if you take a null shvua, not that you're going to do something or not do something, but making a nonsensical shvua, so if you violate it deliberately, so then you get malchus, but if you violate it unintentionally, so then you don't have to bring a carbon, because there the Torah does not hold you liable for a carbon. Next Gemara. Lama lila misnei shvua shelo oichal shvua shelo ochlena. Why, asks the Gemara, does the Mishnah change its language? To be consistent, you should have said, I swear I'm not going to eat this loaf. I swear I'm not going to eat this loaf. But that's not what the Mishnah said. It first said, I swear I'm not going to eat this loaf. I swear I'm not going to eat it, or this. Why did you change the language? Hakamash malan taima, da amar shelo ochal v'hadar amar shelo ochlena, de lo michai ve'lachada. Aval amar shelo ochlena v'hadar amar shelo ochal, michayv tarti kiderava. And this, the Gemara says, there's a big chiddush here. The chiddush is that the import of I will not eat this loaf is different from the import I will not eat it, or this. And therefore, the reason why you only are in violation once is because you first said I will not eat this loaf, and then you said I will not eat this. But if you would have changed the order and said first I will not eat this, and then I will not eat this loaf, then the halacha would be different, like Rava says. Why? Because the Amar Rava, Shavua shelo ochal kikar zu, keven she'ochel mimenu kizayis chayav, shelo ochlena, eno chayav ad she'ochel es kula. Rava tells us a big chiddush. All depends on language. If I say I'm not going to eat this loaf, what I mean to say is I'm not going to eat anything from this loaf. And therefore, by just eating one kizayis from this large loaf of bread, I'm in violation of my shvuah. By contrast, if I say I'm not going to eat this, I'm referring to the entire loaf. And I'm not in violation until I eat the entire loaf. Therefore, the reason why I'm only in violation once is because I made the bigger shvuah, or the more stringent shvuah, before the lesser shvuah. I first said I'm not going to eat this loaf, which means I'm not even going to eat a kazayas from this loaf. And then I said I'm not going to eat the whole loaf. Since the first shvuah is more encompassing than the second shvuah can't be chal on the first shvuah, and if I violate it by eating the whole loaf, I'm only liable once. But if I were to reverse it, and I were to say I'm not going to eat the whole loaf, and then I swore I'm not even going to eat a kazayas of the loaf, then the second shvuah, because it's more encompassing, is chal on top of the first shvuah, and therefore if I eat a kazayas, I violated the second shvuah, and then if I finish the whole loaf, I violated the first shvuah as well, and therefore I'm liable for 2 karbanos. Okay, next, shvuah shelo ochlena va'achla eno chai ve'le'echas chulei hasulam. Now the next question on the language of the Mishnah. Remember, the Mishnah talked about three oaths that a guy takes. I'm not going to eat this loaf, I'm not going to eat this, I'm not going to eat this. Why the third one? What information are you adding? If the point is that you don't compound shvuah liability by taking multiple shvuahs, then just give me 2 shvuahs as an example. Why did you have to add the third one? So the Gemara answers, HaKamashmalan chiyuvahu deleka hashvuah ika di imishkachas revacha chayla. Gemara says there's a big chiddush here. The chiddush is that even though when I violate the multiple shvuahs by eating that loaf of bread, I only have to bring 1 carbon because there's only 1 violation. But it doesn't mean that the second and third shvuahs that I took don't exist. In theory, they are still hanging in abeyance, such that if the first shvuah were to go away, the second shvuah would come and take its place. What do I mean? What's an example? I'll give you an example. Let's say I took a vow, I'm not going to eat the loaf, I took it twice. And then I went to a chacham and I got a hataras nedarim for the first vow. Does that mean that I can now eat the loaf? No. Now the second vow that did not set in, it was still hanging up in the air. Now it comes down and replaces the first oath. And therefore I need to get a hataras nedarim on the second oath as well. That's the chiddush of the extra verbiage in the Mishnah. Lema misayele. Let us say that the following supports Rav's contention. Because in Maseches Nazir it says, Misha Nadr Beis Naziro, Sumana Rishona Vivur Shalea Karban, Vachar Kach Nishala Rishona, also Loshnia Barishona. There's a halacha in Maseches Nazir that says, if a person says, I hereby swear to become a Nazir, he's a Nazir immediately for 30 days. If next day he says, I hereby swear to become a Nazir, then upon the completion of the first 30 days, he has to make up and be a Nazir for the following 30 days for a total of 60 days. And after each 30-day period, he has to bring a korban, and then for the second time, he's got to start all over again the 30-day period. What were to happen if after, let's say, 29 days of the first Nazir period, he decides, you know what, I'm separating my korban, I'm going to bring a korban tomorrow, everything's going to be fine, I'm going to finish. Then he decides, you know what, I'm going to go to a chacham, and he goes to a chacham and gets a hataras nedarim for his nazirus. So the halacha is that since the first nazirus was annulled, he doesn't have to start the second nazirus all over again. He can say, well, you've already covered 29 days of the first nazirus. We'll let the second nazirus be covered by those 29 days, and the animal that you set aside for the first nazirus will serve for the second nazirus. So you see what? That's just like over there, the second nazirus is hanging in abeyance, and when you get a hataras nedarim for the first one, it comes and replaces the period of the first. So too, when you took a vow, you're not going to eat the loaf, and you took a second vow that you're not going to eat the loaf, that second vow hangs in abeyance. When the first vow goes away because of a hataras nedarim, the second one comes and takes its place. So the Gemara says it's not necessarily analogous, because hachi hashta hasam nazirus miha isa dichimanu lirishona boi mihader nimna lishniya below she'ela hacha shvua shniya mi isa klal. It's not necessarily a good analogy, because in the case of nazirus, if I swear twice that I'm going to be a nazir, I have to be a nazir for 2 periods of 30 days. But over here, if I swear twice that I'm not going to eat the loaf of bread, the second shvuah doesn't chal at all. It's in the ether, because there's no place for it to be chal. It's not like you can say that I'm not going to eat it a second time, like by Nazirus, where you say I have to be a Nazir a second time. So just because in the case of Nazir, when you eliminate the first Nazirus, the second one takes its place, you don't necessarily have proof from there that if you eliminate the first shvuah, the second shvuah comes in and takes its place. Omar Rava. Nishbal kikar va'achla im shir mimena kazayis nishal aleha achla nishar aleha achla nishal aleha period. But achla kula ain't nishal aleha. So Rava now tells us another halacha. A person swore that he's not going to eat a loaf of bread. If he eats the loaf of bread, then can he still get a hataras nedarim for the shavua? So it depends. If he left over a kazayas from that loaf, so that he can still get a hataras nedarim, so he won't have to bring a korban. But if he already ate the whole thing, then he can no longer get a hataras nedarim, and he's going to have to bring a korban. So Amalei Ravacha Berei Ravala Ravashi Heichidami. So the question to Ravashi is, you have to help me explain Rava's shita. Ida Omer Shelo Oichal Mikazayas Kama, Ish Shelo Oichal Kama. Then mikazayas kama avdi liisure. Ido amar shelo ochlena ma yirya kazayas afilu kol shehunami. I don't understand. If a guy said, I'm not going to eat this loaf, which means I'm not going to eat even a kazayas of the loaf, so then as soon as he eats the first kazayas, it's already forfallen, he's in violation. So why can he get a hataras nedarim as long as there's a kazayas remaining? Doesn't make any sense. And if he swore he's not going to eat the entire loaf, then why do you need to have a kazayas remaining in order for him to get a hataras nedarim? Even one crumb of the original loaf remaining would be enough, because he didn't fulfill it. He didn't eat the entire thing. So, ibayis ema shelo oichal, ibayis ema shelo ochlena. So the answer is, I can answer you either way. Either he said, I'm not going to eat even a kazayas, or he said, I'm not going to eat the whole loaf. But it'll make sense either way, because ibayis ema shelo oichal, migu de bahanyale sheila akazayas basra, Mahanyale shelanami akazayas kama. If he said, I'm not even going to eat a kazayas of this loaf, even though he's already violated the shvuah, but the truth is, there's an isser from his shavua on every single kazayas in this loaf. And therefore, the fact that there's a kazayas that remains allows the hataras nedarim, since it works for that last kazayas, it'll work also for the kazesim that he's already eaten. So that's one way of understanding it. The ibayis ema shelo ochlena ishir kazayas chashiv li tshuli elei, v'lo lo chashiv li tshuli elei. And I'll give you another answer. Maybe he said he's not going to eat the entire loaf. Why then does he need a whole kazayas to be remaining? The answer is because in order for hataras nedarim to work, the chacham must be able to attach his heter to a portion of the object that still remains of that shvuah. And if the object is completely consumed, or even if there's less than a kazayas left of that object, it's not chashuv enough, it's not significant enough of a remnant of that object in order for the hataras nedarim to be chal, to take effect. And therefore, you need to have at least a kazayas remaining of that loaf in order for the hataras nedarim to take effect. And this is where we'll hold it for today. Have a wonderful day. Same time tomorrow, by the way. Although it will probably start a little